Good evening, Commission. I'm here to speak for Jonathan Bandabaila. Quick comparison. Utah Mackenzie Luke, 23 years old, per family and friends, cell phone turned off, not answering, no texting, inactive on social media. All out of character for her. Police shared her picture information immediately on social media platforms. They hold a news conference. They create a tip line. They search her cell phone records. Her body is found 16 days later, and a suspect is taken into custody. Oakland, Jonathan Bandabaila, 19 years old, per family and friends, not answering cell phone, didn't show up to a party Saturday or soccer tournament Sunday, inactive on social media. CHP locates his vehicle abandoned on the San Mateo Bridge. Citizens report seeing a person standing outside the vehicle. All out of character per Jonathan's family and friends. OPD thought that Jonathan jumped, that he committed suicide or willingly disappeared. OPD did not immediately ping his cell phone and consider his disappearance suspicious or exigent circumstances, and they could have requested a warrantless ping per U.S. Title Code 18-2702C4. They didn't ping his cell phone until weeks later. For 132 days, OPD provided his family with no details about his cell phone on social media activity. OPD claimed that they invited the FBI to assist to interpret the cell phone data, but the FBI never provided any updates or information to his family. But today, less than 9 hours ago, Detective Sides and his sergeant showed up at the Bandabaila house. After 132 days, finally an update. During a 2-hour meeting of finally sharing some details of the investigation, they still have no leads. The detectives said that they know Jonathan's cell phone was used in Hayward prior to his vehicle being abandoned on the bridge. His father asked for a specific area or location. The detective said that they don't have one. His father asked if OPD searched areas, open areas in Hayward. The detective said that if a body was dumped somewhere, someone would have noticed the smell and reported it to the police. The detective said that a body would be completely decomposed by now. So that's it. After 132 days, we are no closer to knowing what happened to Jonathan or where he is. Why did they wait so long to ping his cell phone? The investigation would have been different if they didn't delay it. No leads, no last location, no search party. Is there a criteria for due diligence with OPD? Is due diligence provided to every Oakland resident, or is it dependent on whether OPD believes a family when they report something as out of character? Is due diligence optional? Is it provided to every Oakland resident who calls OPD for help in a crisis? If due diligence is a standard, who is supervising these detectives to ensure that it's being provided? If they're understaffed, add more investigators. If they're poorly trained, remediate them. If their standard operating procedures are substandard, make recommendations. Please use your power to investigate and assess OPD's Special Victims Section. Please investigate this case. Evaluate whether they have sufficient staffing, whether they're adequately trained, if they're following the standard best practices to investigate missing persons cases, whether they are being supervised enough. 132 days without Jonathan. Don't let this subpar investigation happen to any other family.
Thank you.
You could speak.
I can't. Speak for me.
What do you want me to say?
I don't know. God help me.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
I don't know. Somebody had to speak for me. I can't speak. When I asked the investigator, where did my son, where was the last place he spoke? To somebody on the phone. He said, I can't tell that because I don't know. If I know, I will tell you. I said, but I need to know so I can go there and look for him. That's when the officer began to talk. He was beating around the word, decomposed. Then I said, he said, somebody would have told us. I said, you mean the body would have been decomposed by now, then people would have called? He said, yes. So I need you to find my son. I can't go back home without him. Without my son. Oh, and it's been so long, so long. from May 3rd to now. They concentrated the investigation on the water. They checked the water. They found nothing. I told them, no, he didn't jump into the water. Something must have happened. Please help me. That's why I'm coming here for the third time or for the fourth time now. I don't know. I need help. Wherever this boy is, I need help. I can't say much. I'm tired. I'm tired. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Juanito, the clock, please.
Yes.
I'm here today because we want answers, honestly. I mean, even if he was to be found dead, we at least want to put him to rest. He had a lot of life in front of him. That's why it's really hard to believe that he jumped off that night. I was on the phone with him the exact same time that they said they jumped. So that's how I know that Johnny didn't jump. And it's frustrating because we live in a world where they put so much attention to other things, but not to things that really matter in the world, such as a parent that's crying for his son and a whole city that has power on their back, like you guys all do. And you guys can't do nothing to find him. It's been 5 months. 5 months, and you guys gonna tell me that there's nothing? There's nothing? His phone, his car was found on the bridge, and that's it. And you guys expect the parents and us to be comfortable with that answer? We don't, because we know that he didn't jump. Because like the detective Sai said, we would have found his body. It would have smelled already. His body's out there, but you guys could have found it. His body's not out there. He's not dead. He's not dead. He's out there, and he's still staying strong for all of us. Because we knew how strong Jonathan was. We knew. No matter what obstacle was jumped on top of him, Jonathan stood strong. And I know you guys have power to do something about it. Please, please. If the parent can speak for it, let us, the youth, speak for it. I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping until Jonathan's found. And that's everything.
Thank you. Juanito.
My name is Stella Ayala, and I wasn't expecting to speak today, but for my friend, I will. I just want to let you know about a couple things about him. He was a great person, always was tough, even when he was going through stuff. And he always kept a smile for everyone else because he knew we needed his strength too. And he was willing to give it to us. Without him, we don't feel whole. He was the light in everyone's group of friends. He kept all of us together. Because I remember we were in a group of friends and we were together every day. And now he's not here, and we hardly speak to each other because he was our glue. We just want him to come home. And if you guys can help us with that, it would be really amazing. Because his family, his sisters, and everyone misses him. So please take the time and just help us find our glue back so we can all be whole again.
Thank you.
love life. We have to. We have to do something. And I don't know what your powers will allow something to be. But this police department, this is not sufficient. What has happened has to be more. This is pain. This is not the extreme. This is the ordinary for black families who lose their children in many different ways. And in this case, the correctness of how you respond to someone who is missing did not happen. It didn't happen. And because of that, there may be consequences that didn't have to happen. There has to be accountability for that. There is a high probability that we've lost Jonathan because we didn't go through a process immediately. There's a process that we go through that lessens the probability that the victimization, the loss will not happen because we get in on it right away. It didn't happen. Now you have tremendous pain and suffering. And what the department wants to do is to get this over with. That's what they attempted to do, to present enough evidence to say, we can close the books now. No. We're not closing the books on Jonathan until this is done correctly. Anytime you see a dog on the second day it's missing, the police department has put out notice to the public to be aware of a missing 5-month-old French bulldog. And you couldn't do the same for Jonathan. Something is wrong. And so this is horrible. His wife cannot come out of her house. She's so demented with sickness and trauma. She was coming, but she can't do it anymore. She is mentally and physically incapacitated because of this. So, police department, you can step up. This is not final. And there's nothing wrong with stepping up and saying we're going to try to do something more. Don't want to put no blame on anybody. But we got to do something. And somebody can step up. Oh, I don't know if you can do this because you might need the police chief to do this. Somebody's got to come tell his family, we're going to do more. I'm sorry for going over my time.
Thank you, Ms. Asada. Thank you, Mr. Bay, for waiting.
You're welcome. Salim Bey. So I would like to share that in February 2004, somebody who was like a brother to me, his name was Wajid Bey, disappeared. And I called the police. And my brother called the police and said that this 51-year-old man who had a 250-person payroll, black payroll, and nobody else private in Oakland has a black payroll of 250 jobs of people who couldn't be hired in any other place. And this man didn't show up for work. After 15 years of not missing a day, he didn't show up for work, so we called concerned. And the police told us that they couldn't do anything for 72 hours. So we called back on March 1st, 2004, and said that our brother is missing. The very next day, the FBI, police intelligence, and everybody showed up at his house, and we said, well, we just called to say this brother was missing. Why is the FBI here? Why is homicide here? Why is police intelligence here to ask us questions about this man? The police didn't do anything, and they watched this man's business get stolen and all of his assets taken out of his business. They watched his business be destroyed and all the people leave the business, 250 people, some people who had worked there since the founding for 36 years, all leave in 3 months after this man was murdered. After this man disappeared. And for 6 months, my brother Wajid was missing. And then somebody was walking a dog up in East Oakland Hills and found a femur sticking out through the ground. And he was buried wrapped in plastic and duct tape in a shallow grave. And the police didn't do anything about that. And in fact, we found out the police began to help the people who were the lead suspects. And then in fact, we found out after 10 years when we filed the complaint and said you didn't do anything to investigate this man's murder, even after you found out that he was buried. And the police told us that they lost all of his files, that he can't find any police files associated with my brother's murder to this day, and have never come and told us that they'd come in to find it or just, they said they went to Iron Mountain, they say they looked all over the place, and they can't find this man who was over a multi-million-dollar business, who had 250 jobs. You can't find no files for him to this day. This is a man who was a brother to me, who mentored me, and I took him home and made sure he got through his door safe after meetings that ended at 11 and 12 o'clock for 3 years. He lived in Vallejo and I lived in Richmond. I used to pass my exit, tired after working all day, talking to him to make sure he got in his house. And then you're going to tell me that this man who sacrificed and who was murdered, you don't have no files for him? That's why I'm here today, right? Because if you got that stuff together, we wouldn't have this issue with this family and missing persons.
Thank you.